on the docket yet, but if we got to get this GIF
100%.
for the culture. All right, the GIF has spoken. Thank you, Chonya.
All right, time to get down to business. Yeah, welcome to the DAO, everybody. I hope everyone had a really good Valentine's Day. My guy baked me some cake. It was really good. It was strawberry with cream cheese frosting. Yum, yum.
Nice.
So let's get right to it. So first we're going to do the proposal summaries, and then we are going to move into the discussion slots, where first we'll have the discussion about the DAO director replacement, and then following that we'll have Make Aavegotchi based again with Coder Dan, and we might circle back to the ghost buyback conversation after that. Speaking of the ghost buyback, those are the closed and active proposals this week. The closed proposal was Fast Track Sig Prop to buy back Ghost due to all-time low price event by Hardcore. It ended February 12th and the quorum was not met. It was 62.2%, so not enough voters for that one. This proposal was created in an attempt to save the Ghost token as it dips to between 50 and 60 cents. This idea came from a forum post titled Buy Back Ghost by CryptoGreen3463, who suggested earlier this month that the DAO should buy back 6 million in Ghost at a value of under 60 cents. And the link for that thread is right there in the chat. Hardcore then took the initiative to create 3 proposals, all to buy the amount of $2 million in Ghost, but at varying speeds: 3-day, 1 week, and 2 week. The 3-day fast tracking SIG prop did not get quite enough votes, did not pass. The 2-week SIG prop, titled Middle Track SIG Prop to buy rewards Ghost at historic low pricing, is currently active and ends today when the DAO ends. So there's only a small amount of time, but it looks like it might not meet quorum, as currently it is at 78.3%. And most voters are voting for it, so if you are against the prop, I'm sure that a lot of people are not voting just so the prop doesn't pass. But yeah, that could be the strategy of the voters there. The 2-week SIG prop to buy $2 million worth of rewards Ghost at historically low pricing by Hardcore ends on February 22nd. So there's a lot more time for that one. But currently it looks like it has a similar amount of votes to the middle track SIG prop. There's 1 week left and it's at 71.7% of the quorum. So after those SIG props, of course, there will need to be core props for similar durations. So here's hoping that's quick enough for the DAO to make a decision before the coin's price possibly rises again. So it's kind of time sensitive for those ones. And so we can move on to the discussion slots now. First slot is DAO Director Replacement. And FaZe created this thread for the replacement of the DAO Director. With Oliver Spoon leaving the DAO, there is an opening for a new DAO Director. We have had a few people step forward this week in nomination for the position. Those who applied in the thread by yesterday were Koshiko, who claims to have been next in line and has hands-on experience with the role since the beginning. Nadil, a consistent member of Aavegotchi, well known as a Fake Gotchi's NFT artist and top collector. Thrax, a former Pixelcraft team member with multi-sig experience ready to go. And Fifu, a longtime contributor of Aavegotchi with a strong technical background in software and web development. So those are the ones who I've seen step forward last time I checked. And FaZe was going to create the election proposal. FaZe, if you are around, do you want to answer when this new proposal will be active? Welcome, FaZe. Yeah, I can't hear FaZe either.
Nope.
Looks like he's gonna leave and come back.
Test. Can you
I
guys
can
hear
hear
me?
you now. Yep.
Okay, nice. I don't know what that is. I didn't do anything. Yeah. Yeah, most of the information is in that thread. It just happened because of the discussion we had last week, basically, where we're short a director. So, like, if we had known this before, it would have probably been part of that last election we did recently. But yeah, so far we have four candidates. So I know some people were saying like don't take it to a vote or whatever, but as soon as there's more than just one person, I don't think we typically just knock up the next vote. Like we had the same issue with facilitators about 6 months ago. So I think the best way to do it is just to do a quick vote and have it done by March, because that's when the new directors are supposed to be onboarded by. Yeah, so the thread is there. I'll drop a link to it. I'm pretty sure everybody who's interested already put their name in there, but just in case, this is like kind of like last call, because we're gonna have the the vote up tonight or by tomorrow at latest. And that's pretty much it. Yep.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So, yeah. So by March, there might be a new candidate for DAO director. We have Fifu coming to the stage. Fifu, if you want to say a few words
GM,
as one
GM?
of the candidates. GM.
Yeah. Hi, Roxano. I just wanted to add for FaZe, if I get it correctly, I just arrived, but he's the one who is going to write the prop. I think the discussion about the next in line precedent and so on was a good one. And I think in this proposal and in any upcoming proposal to replace directors, we should clarify the next in line thing and say in the proposal, the result of this vote could be used if a director stepped down during the next X months, and in that case, the next in line in the result could be promoted or whatever. But like we put it in writing in the prop, so basically it means the director can apply the decision even afterward, and we don't have to say, yeah, it's not a prop, but we all agreed and so on.
Yeah, I like that personally. I think it helps. It makes the decision way more clear in the event that does happen.
Yeah, and we put a length duration to the next in line stuff. We can say the vote is valid for the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, whatever. But we put it in writing in the prop. People vote for it, and we're done.
Excellent. Yeah.
And that's
I'm cool with that.
the
Yeah.
only thing I had to say.
All right. Awesome.
Do you think it should be in this one though? Because this one is for one, or are you talking about like the next year, like the entire vote?
I will
Because
put it in this one, but because we are not numerous, I will not put a very long duration for the validity of the vote. I will put maybe, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, whatever people think is a good idea. But if we have a big election for a lot of people and a lot of replacement, maybe we can put more time. I don't know when the last election, it was December, if
yes.
I remember.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say at least 3 months, maybe 6 is too much, no idea. But I think we should put something.
Okay, so basically, like if a DAO director steps down or leaves or whatever, within 6 months of being elected, then they will be replaced by the next person, the person with the next amount of votes, like highest amount of votes.
Yep. So something that is okay for the directors to refer to in order to promote someone. And so they can feel comfortable adding the person to the multisig, even if there was not a vote that directly says so at the moment. because
Yes.
technically it is what it is. The prop is about instruct the director to add someone to the multisig. As Maxi Crouton used to say, we don't create the transaction and we don't execute the transaction if there's not a clear proposal about it. So I think it has to be as clear as possible regarding directors too.
Yep.
And yeah, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. I don't know. That's
Cool. Yeah, I'll draft it in a couple hours here, and I'll send you it before posting anything. I'll put it in the thread as well.
okay. Thanks.
Just for edits. Yep.
I don't know what the other directors think about the ID and or Coder Dan. I think it would help, and it might be more fluid next time with that. But yeah, just an opinion.
So what I'm gathering is there will be one more vote, and then it might say that if any one of these DAO directors steps down, the one with the next votes, like on this current vote, will get be able to step up to the role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Okay.
Yeah, like set the precedent now, just so that by the time we do the bigger one, like the annual thing, then it'll be commonplace, you know?
Okay. Yeah, seems like a good precedent to set since some people were having different opinions on that topic. So
Yeah, and things could change. Like it could fall out. We don't know what happens really, but like let's say we end up putting it for 6 months next time, and then somebody decides they're out on the 7th month. Like in that case, we would need another election anyway. So it's good to just kind of have the like the whole process in place so that we know what we're doing at any given time. Cool.
Yeah, and
Thanks.
maybe next time we have a big director, the yearly director re-election. Maybe we can push to 6 or 12 months or something like that. Maybe 12 months is too big, but at least 6 months. So at least we know when we make the big election, at least we know we don't need to make another one for the next 6 months.
Excellent. Yeah. Cool.
Sweet.
Thanks.
We are-
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Fifu, for coming out.
You're welcome.
And we are, looking forward to the proposal coming out later today.
Yeah, and just one last thing about the proposal I'm working on for the official DApp. The game threats things is done. It works. I just need to submit properly my code with a pull request to the Pixelcraft web developer that manage a repository. But I tested like a few days ago with all the games and all my gotchis, and all the numbers were good. If you compare to I launch a game and I want to use my gotchi, I check the stats and it say well exactly the same than what will be in the DApp. So we are all good on this one, and the gotchi config stuff is also. We had a few blockers and changes regarding this part, but it's also going well, even if we did not make any update about it. And we still want to at least have a full beta for test by the end of the month.
Sweet.
Fifu, what's the process for updating the game schemas going to be? Have you guys thought about that?
I published
when a game
a
updates it.
repository. I published a repository on NPM and on GitHub, of course. The repository is public. For now, I will be managing the repository. If there are any upcoming pull requests to make some changes on the game.
Awesome.
I wrote what I think is a good documentation regarding how does the process works overall. So I can put the link here anyway. This is the repository. And yeah, any game maker that wants his game added to the schema can just go there and there are instructions how to add a new game. Any existing games, if they want to update their threads because they make some balance changes on their game or whatever, they can also do it by themselves. Of course, if for the first time they don't feel comfortable getting an understanding on everything, we can have a call, we can discuss about it, I can show them how it works. But in the end, it's pretty straightforward. And I hope after 1 or 2 changes that we could manage together, they will be able to do it all by themselves. And yeah, when that part is updated, if it's just balance changes, there are no new threads, no just changes in how the values are calculated. You just have to re-update the Aavegotchi app, and it's good.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for that link. That's really handy.
I hope so.
Okay. And yeah, thank you for coming up. If anyone has any other opinions for yeah, the DAO director replacement, you can head to that Discord and that, or anything else to say, you can continue that. I'm sorry, my voice is getting lost right now. But yeah, so yeah. We can move on now to the Make Aavegotchi Based Again proposal by Coder Dan. Coder Dan recently released an article on X explaining Pixelcraft's plans to sunset Geist mid-2025 and the proposal to migrate Aavegotchi over to Base instead. With Polygon's TVL decreasing for the past 3 years, Aavegotchi might jump ship, keeping in mind the state of this cycle. Quote, the benefits of migrating to our own Layer 3 in this current environment are outweighed by the downsides, namely isolation, onboarding friction, and cost of running our own chain, including developer tools, in addition to the rollup itself, unquote. Base currently holds the most potential benefits for Aavegotchi, and it would be the easiest to migrate there currently. It can be done in 4 to 6 weeks. Coder Dan, you have the floor if you have more to talk about on this topic.
Not really. I mean, I think it's hopefully everyone's read the post. I think the main point that maybe we could spend a little time to discuss here is related to what we've been talking about yesterday, the continuation of Gotchi points and what the community feels would be best to do with the Gotchiverse, the player rewards allocated toward earmarked for the Gotchi rewards. That it's about 3.3 million ghost, and we've one of our proposals in this article was that instead of doing the Gotchi token TGE, that it would be also a good use of the Gotchi. It would be a good time to start deploying some of that ghost towards this Gotchi points campaign. Start sucking up some of that the Alchemica, still with the intention of over the long term simplifying the whole ecosystem to just have basically ghost token and maybe glitter, but essentially just kind of consolidating things so we have fewer tokens, less complexity. In the short term, the next we still do have these Alchemica tokens. We don't just want to we're not just going to discontinue support for them completely, but this is basically a mechanism where we can essentially do kind of a rewards campaign for people that earn the Alchemica and then burn it. And so you could earn it via farming, or as I mentioned in the, I'll link to the post here if folks want to read it. Basically, I suggested we split it into essentially 3 pools. 300k ghost for Gotchi Point Season 1, and we would also extend season 1 a little bit, just to give people more time to adjust their strategy. Following that, once we want to continue this campaign, because it's going to be very useful to have an active, ongoing campaign on base, that people that discover us on socials or whatever, they come in and they have something to do. They have a way to earn a little bit of ghost by playing the games. Not everyone's going to earn, obviously, because it is going to still be leaderboard based, so there will be a tail. But at least if you put some time in, there is a way to actually earn a little bit of ghost by playing the gacha games. So that would continue over the next 12 to 15 months. It would begin once our migration ends. And Pixelcraft, over the last couple of years, we've obviously gotten a lot of Alchemica. We've never really touched any of it, but we want to put that to use for the gaming side. So like when you earn a badge right now, we give you spins on the gacha wheel. We would basically replace that. Actually, all that work has kind of already been done on our back end anyway. So we have the ability to give you Alchemica when you earn a badge in game. That's something we already developed a while ago. So no gacha wheel. You'd still earn badges, but you would just earn some of the Alchemica that Pixelcraft has collected over the years. So that would still give players a way to earn a little bit of a spot on the leaderboard, while also not diluting the like in a big way the existing Alchemica that's out there under the land parcels or that's already been farmed. Ricky G, I saw also there's a couple responses. I think Ricky G's was one. He was just suggesting, I think, that the season 1 have a higher amount of ghost allocated towards it, and then the last 2 to 6 would have a slightly smaller amount. But in general, it seems like he was in agreement. And then Grim was discussing we were bringing back the idea of being able to burn your parcel for a certain amount of Alchemica that's under the parcel, and whether that should be just allowing you to burn it one off, or should you have to chuck in some glitter as well to be able to burn the parcel, but perhaps for a higher amount of Alchemica. So that was that's the general summary of that. So happy to go over any points people want to make on that.
Yeah, so you were working on the new farming system. Will you keep the Alchemica system that we have currently in the 2D Gachiverse for the 3D Gachiverse?
Yeah, the one thing we do have a way to distribute spillover if we would like to. I think Golden Cross maybe has gone off stage, but I would defer to him for the latest on what the team is planning to do with that. Last time I was involved, we were talking about basically dropping it into an instance of D1, so people could go in and you could hang out in the Gachiverse and pick up some Alchemica. But it could be 24/7. It could also just be at Hangouts, as we're currently doing, because the instances of your parcel, unlike the 2D version, they won't be server connected. So we're not going to be dropping Alchemica onto your parcel that you pick up. It'll be essentially siloed and then put off into D1. Yeah, so like you said, spillover goes into a balance that we need to decide how to distribute. To check the comments. Yeah, Hardcore suggested that this percentage on how much Alchemica you should get from burning your parcel, we could perhaps do it a little bit more mathematically or systematically. If people want to come up with some proposals based on some models that they've created. I think I'd be open to that as long as we don't take too long with it. But I think in general, if you're able to get it as like you just burn your parcel. I mean, you are burning. There is ghost involved in that parcel burning because there's a floor price of the parcel. So definitely need to take that into account. And then of course there's the sunk costs of actually farming the parcel, the time and the glitter involved. So those all need to be taken into account in these models.
Yeah, so these tokens, like Alchemico, won't be auto-migrated to base during the migration, correct?
Right, the parcels will be, but the existing Alchemica that's on Polygon, I don't think that we can auto-migrate that over, unfortunately, because those tokens, I don't think they are upgradable. So people will still need, we have a working bridge between Polygon and base for all that existing Alchemica that you can bridge over. And
What
that
about the Alchemica that was inside the parcels still, if any?
yeah,
still?
so that will be migrated because we'll be migrating the whole parcel. So you'll when you farm your parcel on base, it'll create that Alchemica on base.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was going to be my next question, if the new Alchemica is going to be on into your base wallet. Yeah, so that answers that.
So Ahinga's asking about spillover. Yeah, the DAO voted to turn spillover off. And so if we want to turn spillover back on, we can do that. We will be collecting it, and we can, as a community, decide what we would like to do with it.
Yes.
If we want to turn it back on in D1 and just have daily drops, that could be fun. I mean, it was very kind of a simplistic implementation in Gotchiverse 2D. Basically, just people kind of roomboing, picking it up. Personally, I would prefer something a little bit more robust than just having tokens dropped on the ground. But anything more than that will require extra dev time to do.
Yep, there's a link that I just posted. Turning spillover back on was a question posed this week by Supreme Pablo. It hasn't gotten a lot of popular feedback so far, like with people agreeing that we should turn spillover back on. But if anyone here has any opinions about that, you can go to that thread and then voice it there, and that should probably help this conversation move forward about concerning spillover.
Yeah, so yeah, Jesse's showing this will be your parcel. So we couldn't drop it here, but we do have the whole D1 area. One other idea I had was this won't be live immediately, but during GBS it could also be fun if you're running around, you're killing licks, and there's some of the spillover from people's farming actually appears in the game, and you can pick it up there as well. But we could put it in D1, we could put it in GBS, we could not do anything with it. Plenty of options here.
Okay. Yeah, so on the topic of the migration and how everything will work there, would there be like a difference in transaction fees in like the games and for the trading and different aspects of the ecosystem? What would that difference look like, do you think?
Base is pretty much the same in terms of fees as Polygon, if not cheaper sometimes. Everything is denominated in ETH rather than Matic. And we will take some steps once we're established, just like we were planning to do on Geist. Like I would like if for example, the bazaar was like a gasless experience. We're not going to pay for gas for everything, but I think there's certainly things that we can start paying for gas for, especially since we're earning like anything that we're earning fees on. We can. The tech is getting there, like with Third Web and account abstraction. That we definitely want to invest more in the user experience on Base now, since we will be interfacing like more closely with Coinbase Wallet.
Okay, yeah, so it's more it's really customizable then. It can be whatever it needs to be in terms of like generating revenue and customizing the fees and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, generally, one of the things we were looking forward to with Geist was just being able to turn on gasless transactions for anything that we wanted, because it wouldn't really cost anything to do that. Since we are going to stay on a public chain for now, there is a cost, and we don't want to open ourselves up to like a Sybil attack where someone just does a bunch of random transactions to spend our money. So we have to be a little bit more careful about like where we're doing gasless transactions. But yeah, in general, we want to continue like improving the user experience for people in Aavegotchi on Base once we're there.
Awesome.
But
yeah.
With the Gotchi point campaign going on, we could use accumulated spillover as in-game rewards to attract new users. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. I think it, especially once we start having an entry fee in GBS, like once it's out of proof of concept stage and we're actually charging a little bit of Ghost for it, could be kind of fun to be able to earn some Alchemica while you pay your Ghost. You might get on the leaderboard and you might earn some Alchemica. I thought that would be quite nice. Might even like get a big payout if it could be kind of random.
Good conversation about spillover right now in the chat. What if it rotated which district it was currently falling in? Threx said. That way it wouldn't be spillover all over
in Gotchiverse 3D. We're not launching with districts. There's no connected districts. It's your parcel is going to be an individual kind of floating island, just because we want to get to gameplay before implementing like the whole Citadel again. Want to make sure that we can get to the fun before we do all that work that kind of just rebuilding Gotchiverse 2D and 3D.
Oh, I see. Yeah, a unified Gotchiverse then. Borderless.
Yeah. You're gonna have kind of you'll be on like a little island it will be solo, non-networked, but still a fun experience actually. You can run around and chop grass, interact with your parcel, and one of the next steps for the team, like eventually, will be to get those connected so you can host people on your parcel again. But that's just not given the way that it seems people really want to focus on gameplay and not the socializing as much. So we decided let's just focus on GBS first before we add in the social features again. I see Hardcore talking about Third Web. I think a lot of this is probably just there's configuration issues. Like generally, I think Third Web is pretty solid. The thing with wallets in general is that even if it doesn't matter if you're using Sequence or you're using Third Web or Privy, they all don't really work in Unity desktop. If you're trying to use like a MetaMask, it's not their fault really. It's more MetaMask's fault for having a really kind of bad SDK. So especially now that we're using browser, it's going to be a lot better. You will be able to log in with your MetaMask into the games, and you'll also be able to log in with Google as when we've gotten that working a while ago. And we recently upgraded to the ecosystem wallet. So I'm sure you all know this by now, like every game, as long as it's using the ecosystem wallet, every game that you log into with your social wallet will generate the same address. So you can kind of have your unified Aavegotchi wallet across different games, which is really nice. Third Web was the first to get that feature to market. We talked with multiple teams, and they were the first to actually listen to us and make that feature for us. So I like Third Web. I don't think that I think it's probably more of a configuration issue if we're still having issues. But yeah, I don't think that they're a deal breaker for the ecosystem. And are we expecting any voting power issues with snapshot.box on base? One of the things we need to, this is going to be true for Geist or base, we need to update the snapshot to add in multi-chain strategies. And I'm pretty sure that's possible. It's just going to take some dev muscle to do that. Pixelcraft can do it. Or if someone wants to make a prop and have someone in the community work on that as well, that would also be fine. But it is on our to-do list to start allowing ghost strategies on base.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to circle back to a couple questions that I've seen in the in another thread, in the DAO discussion thread. Crypto Green asked a few questions. First question is, with canceling of Geist, how does Pixelcraft plan to generate revenue? What would be like the main way to generate revenue, or how many revenue streams will there be, and the time frame for those?
Yeah, this was part of the blog post. Let me just copy and paste that over first. So yeah, G-Bucks has potential, I think, if we can actually get a decent player base for Gotchi Guardians with our upcoming launches. Slumma has done a lot of this in the past with his other games. He's a very gifted game designer and game economist. So he knows how to create these systems. This is one of the reasons we've been so excited and bullish on this game, is we're just getting it to the final stage where people actually want to spend money playing this game. But G-Bucks is the main monetization for Gotchi Guardians, and it's really just a fact of is the game, if the game is going to be market viable. I think we think it is. That will be one of the revenue streams for Pixelcraft and Aavegotchi DAO as we go to WebGL and we go to expand to more platforms. And then some of the other potentials, primary sales, haven't done one of those in a while. I mean, those have historically been our biggest money makers, but we kind of ran out of things that we could sell. Can't do more Aavegotchis, can't do more wearables, can't do more realm parcels. So it's been difficult to continue getting more revenue since all those main channels were kind of turned off. But we are now that at least Gotchi Guardians is again becoming more market viable, and as we get Gotchiverse and GBS up online as well, still would like to do a primary sale, glitch key or loot boxes or some other sort of primary sale, maybe even selling gifts. Although I don't think that would, it's not going to be a huge moneymaker. But those are some of the ideas that we have for primary sales. Selling more realm parcels, yeah. Those are the heady days. GBS in-game purchases is another one. So once we get, if GBS is popular with the community and we want to keep supporting it, we get to alpha phase when we add in the entry fees in Ghost. And so most of that will go back into a rewards pool, but a small portion of that will, just like we did with the duels, that will go back to Pixelcraft and an Aavegotchi DAO. And finally, trading fees, just because being on base, will be on these bigger marketplaces again, potentially more exposure to the IP via these gifts or just being on base, having games, working with other communities. The potential for trading fees could also increase from what it currently is on Polygon, which is very low. And also more assets. We're going to have, we have Gotchi Guardian skins, we have various things that will also be tradable. So trading fees could also pick up from where they currently are right now.
Awesome. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. The second question was, since borrowing the 3 million from the DAO, how much of that has Pixelcraft Studios generated in lieu of like replenishing some of that loan?
No, I mean, we haven't done anything significantly revenue generating yet, so
Right. Okay.
nothing like notable.
Because there were plans for Geist because of that proposal before, correct?
Yeah, that was one of the. Again, Geist ID is we've done the work. If we get to a point where we actually we want to implement like a VIP system on base, we can totally bring that back. I would actually like to bring that back, but we don't think that it makes that much sense to launch a system like that on base, where the base team was never really that happy about the Geist system to begin with. So I don't think they would be very happy if we like launched it with a VIP paid member system on their chain from day one. But if we get to a point where we actually need a VIP system, then the Geist ID is ready to go.
Yeah, it was a really good idea to have our own layer 3, even if the environment isn't quite right for it right now. So going back to it would be pretty cool if it could work out for us. Yeah. I don't believe I have any more questions personally or that I've seen. So if anybody has any more questions about this topic, you can go back to the thread. By the way, are you going to release a formal proposal soon, and when do you think it would be active?
Yeah, so I would like to put both proposals out, the migration proposal and the one for the usage of Gotchiverse player rewards. Those are kind of need to go hand in hand with each other. Could do the migration one first, but I think it'd be, since it does touch the Gotchi Points campaign, I think it'd be best to just wait till we have everything totally aligned. So I know Hardcore and Ricky G, you said you wanted to do a little bit of work on some modeling, and we can get a little bit more discussion about the Gotchi Points and Gotchiverse player rewards. I want to make sure that people are happy about and excited for how that's gonna wrap up. So yeah, let's if you have any opinions on how the Gotchiverse player rewards should be distributed over the next 18 months, then let's get those opinions out, and we'll hash it out and come up with a solid plan.
Awesome. Yeah, Ricky J says, I will do math today. Sweet.
Nice. Yeah, I can also happy to help with some excelling or anything that needs done.
Cool.
CFA's talking about poker. Yeah, poker is something we actually are. It kind of got deprioritized, but the code is actually ready. It's going to take some setting up, especially from the back end team. But if you guys really think it would be a hit, we can drop the code and let you guys set it up, or try to allocate some time towards it. But the screenshots I saw were looking pretty nice. Okay, well, I guess that's all on this topic. Let's make Aavegotchi based again.
Yeah. Let's make Aavegotchi based again. Okay, so moving on to the next topic then. We did have the Ghost buyback. Hardcore cannot make it to the stage, which is A-okay. I'll just do a little bit of summarizing of some of the key points. So some community members are against the buying of Ghost altogether. Diddley made many arguments in the forum, but one quote stood out, and that was, "Our non-Ghost treasury is the only thing keeping this project alive," unquote. This is a biased opinion, but it raises the question, how would you rate the importance of stable coins in our treasury compared to the Ghost holdings? And I'm sure the answer might vary between different people, but that's just something to think about when voting on this proposal. CryptoGotchi pointed out that the right answer for this buyback depends on which perspective you hold in regards to whether the DAO treasury is a separate entity from Aavegotchi or belonging to the project itself. So you may interpret that however you wish. And final thing to mention is, if these proposals pass, the Ghost could be swing traded for more stable coins and or utilized for a staking program or future rewards pools such as rarity farming, etc. So keep that in mind, that as a DAO, we will decide what to do with the Ghost later, and for now we are only voting on whether to buy it back during this all-time low opportunity. So step-by-step process if this goes through. And we have hardcore typing. If you, he says, if you think Aavegotchi assets are toxic to our treasury, you should move on to another project that has some truth to it. I think everybody here should be believing in Aavegotchi, the investments they made along this journey, and yeah, sometimes, yeah, we're just trying to make the decisions the best we can that we feel would be the best for ourselves, our wallets, the community, the project itself. All of those come into play with that. If you've been here years, you probably have some faith. Yeah, that's true, Thrax. Yeah, so that's that topic. If you have a say in the voting, there are 2 active right now. One has only 10 minutes left on it, the middle track sig prop, but I don't believe it'll pass quorum, so I believe that one will be rejected. But there is one that has 1 week left on it, if you believe that we should be doing the buyback for Ghost. And some new and active threads this week were Turning Spillover Back On by Supreme Pablo. And we already talked about that in the last segment. It's basically a temperature check for interest in using spillover mechanics again. And a few people did go into the chat to say they don't really care about the spillover, but it could be used in the 3D Gotchiverse. However, there may be better ideas to get new players into there anyway. And obviously, because we are working on GBS and everything on Pixelgraph's end, so we have high hopes for that. And that's the kind of temperature thing we have. There will be gameplay in the 3D Gotchiverse that we're hoping will be worth it for new players. So yeah. Whether we need spillover or not, head over to that thread if you have an opinion on that topic. And there it is in the chat. And the last one, we have Ghost Value Strategies. This one was a little bit more active this week. I'm not sure we touched on it in previous weeks. I think we did, but that is the thread I just posted right there. Notably, No Futuristic voiced his support for the idea of sweeping the gotchi floor as part of the buyback and burning them to make room for a new haunt of gotchis with, quote, degen incentive potential. No Futuristic, if you're still here, do you want to answer what the degen incentive potential you said could be in your idea?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a straightforward answer in terms of what that could be, but just the idea that it could be new leaderboards or new rarity farming specific, like we've done this in the past. I know there are people who are against that, but just the idea that if we were to take some of the funds, buy back gotchis, kill them, lower the supply of the gotchis, also destroy the essence instead of redistributing it. All of the assets become a little more rare. And then if we have a distribution or a reselling, new content created that Pixelcraft can fund itself as well as the DAO, we can then use some of those funds towards those degen incentives. So that could be like what we did in season 2 of rarity farming, where there were specific leaderboards for season 2 gotchis, or just other, new stuff beyond just the rarity farming meta that we've been running for like almost 4 years. So a big part of all of this though is the idea that we pay off like what is considered to be the debt that was to the OGs in terms of rarity farming. We have Phantasma has a post saying that we have 4 seasons remaining, so that maybe we once we're done with those 4 seasons and we're thinking about potentially what happens after rarity farming for Aavegotchis, we can start moving into whatever that is. It could be the play to earn meta where these rewards are going towards people who are active in the ecosystem playing the games on leaderboards or something along those lines.
Yeah, there's a lot to that idea. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Coder Dan says burning doesn't really increase demand unless there's a flywheel involved. I'm not sure what flywheel means. Would you care to elaborate on that, Coder Dan?
Yeah, flywheel is it's a term that's kind of gotten popular in the last kind of this cycle, but it basically means having like a virtuous cycle. We called it a virtuous cycle back in the white paper back in 2020. Now they call it a flywheel. Same thing. It really you can't doesn't really generate demand if you're just doing a burn of the asset without it's not really going to generate new demand unless the burning of the asset is somehow there's a mechanism that actually does create demand. Just burning it by itself doesn't create new demand. Or if it does, any demand that it does is the most speculative mercenary type of demand that you can create, because people are just waiting for the burn and then they're speculating on that. It's not long-term aligned demand.
Yeah, that's why I use the term degen incentives, because the idea, I guess, would be if the burn happened, we lower supply, we can issue new assets that are paired with new rewards and or marketing to get this out to, because right now, I mean, like it or not, everybody got wrecked on a Central African Republic launching a coin and on Libra. The participants in our ecosystem, for better or worse, have gotten decidedly dumber and more speculative and more degen in general. I feel like the audience we have in here tends to be very highbrow, high-minded builders and just strong dev-based peeps. And that's always been the main draw here for me, and I think many others that are in the community. But, it feels like the rest of the ecosystem has moved in a completely different direction. So trying to figure out ways to tap into that without losing too much of the core of what we're doing, but getting those degen casino wannabe players in here, because they will speculate if we incentivize them the right way.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to do. This idea of the ticker in a game like GBS, where you can kind of leverage on a token, but it's in a game setting. I don't think anyone's really done that before. I think it's something novel. I think it could be appealing to the degens.
Yeah, I just think with the potential of the burn and or issuing of new assets, it helps in the sense that now we get funding to Pixelcraft and the DAO to continue the mission. Because without, I mean, I've said it before, but I try not to. I've been against the idea of stopping the issuance of assets since we first proposed it, because it very much hamstrings what Pixelcraft can do. And I know people are against dilution, but I mean, let's be real. At the beginning when I got in, the idea was that they're going to be, if this goes well, there are going to be hundreds of thousands of Aavegotchis, that because we want mass adoption, and that the floor price is going to continue to drop because of that as a result. And that's not necessarily a negative thing, because we're getting all these players in, and that's what we want. So I know the community doesn't want that to a large extent based on what the DAO has voted on, but that has had an effect on everything in many ways, because now there's no income coming in from those things. So GVS could be a huge hit, but it's also going to require you to put in more time in dev work, and you have a budget that's like limited, right? So getting your coffers filled, to me, makes sense. And the easiest way to do that is asset issuance, but we got to balance it between the calls for dilution. That's why I think if we handle and settle the previous rarity farming debt, as I refer to it, then that issue is no longer there, because people have been made whole. They've been the implied promises, because it's not even technically, I don't think anywhere it's enshrined that we're supposed to have this many rarity farming seasons. But once we satisfy those debts, those so-called debts, then it's easier for us to move forward with an actionable plan that actually continues the sustainability of the project. But we as a DAO have to work with you guys on this.
I think a proper flywheel would be. It's tricky with this, where we would have burning, but we would also have like minting, and it's getting late for me, so can't think too well. But I think I've alluded to it a little bit. There should be reasons to burn your Aavegotchi, and then there should be reasons to mint new gotchis if the community is like accepting of a small amount of like BRS dilution. That's mainly what would happen if we start minting new gotchis. We'll eventually get like a 580 natural BRS, but it won't be able to compete against the 570 natty BRS that has 10 spirit points allocated to it. So I think it kind of evens itself out in a way.
So like it could be like a new haunt as maybe new NFT gotchis.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat. I mean, I tend to agree. Like NFTs in general we're kind of, we haven't really like become a meme token community, so we're not in the NFTs are not in the limelight at the moment, unfortunately. But I do think having some gaming content where there's some degen stuff to do could be a fresh narrative for people to talk about, and like it could make some waves.
Yeah, for sure. Let's make those waves. And on that note, I think that wraps up the call. Unless anyone has any final things to say, I think we're pretty much done.
Cool. Well, as far as the make of Aavegotchi based again proposal, I don't think we will put that out this week. I will give it one more week of discussion if there's anything else that needs to be fleshed out. And then starting at next week's hangout and DAO call, we'll go through it one more time with everyone. And then we will be putting that one out after next week's call.
Cool. Looking forward to it. And I hope everyone
Awesome.
has a great weekend.
Thanks, friends. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Peace, everybody.
Later.
Peace.
Stay based.